Made your voice delicious Duncan Hines.
In the future, this child could lead a major corporation or lead a life of crime. This one earn great wealth or live in poverty. This one's future may be marked by hardcore unemployment, while another may make a medical breakthrough. What powerful miracle could shape the lives of each of these children? The miracle of education.
Jakia, did you and Deborah work in the same plant?
No.
She was a sealer. She put the seal in. You built the frames. Is that
Yes.
correct? Is it fair to say that very often on the job when you were welding the frames that hold together the cars that run on our highways, you were bomb, stone, high?
Majority of the time.
What were you using?
Alcohol and cocaine.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Deborah, and for the same reason. The people around you, your pals, your friends, your colleagues, those closest to you, were they also using?
The majority.
Now, there is, in any factory, a hierarchy. In a sense, it becomes almost like an extended family. There are the workers and then the intermediate supervisors, and it goes up like that, and everybody knows everybody else's business.
Yes.
Didn't someone notice that you were stoned?
They did, but it was mostly, they wanted production. They wanted a number instead of quality. And when you put those two together, as me being stoned or high on the job, I was thinking about a number. And to get that number, I mean, I was through for that shift. And that caused General Motors money. That caused economy to go up because they had shifted parts here and back. So General Motors got to pay for this, so they added on to the car value. And the cars go up.
The price of the cars?
Yes.
And what about the frames themselves? I mean, do we have rattly U.S. cars because guys like you are stoned on the job?
And there were bad welds. You had rattling from hard bumps, jars. A lot of frames buckled because of bad welds.
Now, one point I want to make is that Jakia and these other people have cleaned up your act, or at least you've begun this long and difficult road back.
Yes.
But still, flash back to the time when everybody out there, you at home, you're paying $12,000, $16,000, $22,000 for your Buick or Pontiac or whatever it is that your plant was making. And you hit a bump and the thing buckles in the middle, and you know why? Not because they designed it bad, but because you were stoned when you welded the damn frame together.
That's true.
And so do we wonder why the Japanese are taking over?
That's already mostly. And that's because we are a competitive company that is have foreign economics coming into this country. And their job is more tightened down than ours. You know, because the workforce is here in America, so many drug users are building these cars.
60 billion, not million, $60 billion. $60,000 million a year it costs the American economy. Billy, you were a bad seed, or at least a bad boy, weren't you? Reform school?
Some people would think so, yeah.
What do you think?
I think I was a sick child. I don't necessarily think I was bad. I was introduced to substances at a very early age, probably earlier than most. And my actions after that were based on intoxication.
What were you stoned on?
I've used just about everything that's out there. My primary drugs of choice were speed and alcohol.
Speed?
Yeah.
Amphetamine?
Yeah.
Make you crazy?
Yeah. But then you use barbiturates to come down from them.
Did you once kidnap your girlfriend? Did I hear that?
They thought I did. I didn't. And the SWAT team assumed that I had someone that I was holding hostage. And there was a standoff for about 14 hours. And that, in fact, probably was the best thing that happened to me because that's the last time I used anything.
What about on the job?
The jobs I had, I'm listening to these other people, the jobs I had by design were menial jobs, I thought, for me. Jobs that I basically couldn't get into any trouble, that I can drink at, that I can smoke dope at, that I can pop some pills at. They were factory jobs, simple factory jobs, and my colleagues did the same thing with me. At one time I dug graves and thought I couldn't lose that job, and I did.
How do you dig a grave wrong?
You don't dig a grave wrong. What you do is not show up for work.
Right. Is it fair to say that you're not the first in your family working people who were substance abusers?
No, I would say that the type of jobs that we had, the type of lifestyle we had, bred such behavior. My stepfather, for example, he had similar jobs. They're tough jobs. They're jobs most people don't want to do. He worked in a silk factory, silk mill factory. And he, like most of the men of my community, I'm from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. It was a coal mining town. The mines went out of business and people began to find factory jobs. And after factory work and after mine work, you stop for a few beers. And that's the behavior that you become accustomed to when you grow up. And to me, becoming an adult was being able to be served for the first time in a bar, which took place for me in Pennsylvania at the age of 15. The laws were 21, but drinking begat drinking. There was no other behavior.
Which begat speed and pills and
Yeah.
et cetera and et cetera and et cetera. And Mary, in your prosperous home, middle-class home certainly, you described a wonderful husband, wonderful children, wonderful house, white picket fence. So why'd you start using cocaine?
It started out at weekend parties. Somebody would say, do a little bit. And it was good, and I had a good time. And after your third or fourth party of doing that, or a dinner party, somebody gives you some, so you take it home, and it's 3 o'clock, the kids are coming home from school, you're tired, you're cranky, but you have to fix dinner, the way every housewife in America feels. So you do a little bit of coke, and it peps you up. And not only that, you don't eat dinner, so you start losing weight. And it rolls. You do it 3 times some weeks you do it every day, and then you realize you have a problem. You try to stop it, and I've gone as long as 3 months without doing any, and then I would get right back into it.
Using how much a day?
Well, in the end, I was using about 2.5 grams a day.
2.5 grams? How much money is that?
Pardon me?
How much money?
Well, it's about $100 a gram.
$250 a day worth of cocaine. How does a housewife get $250 a day?
I had to sell it.
You became a drug dealer. You're lucky you didn't end up in jail.
Yeah, very lucky. Or dead. Or dead children, or very lucky.
Let's take a break. America's Workers, our experts will come on. Don, we've got to get your story. Try and put some sense to this. Is there a way out? Has it gone too far? A poll in the USA Today is saying that 1 out of every 3 American workers has colleagues on the job who are stoned alongside him or her. $60 billion a year. It may be the biggest domestic story of our lives, and that is not overstating the situation. We'll be right back.
Could I have a pound of Swiss, please?
Wouldn't you rather have less?
Less cheese?
Less fat. With Cherney Light, you get low cholesterol and 1/3 less fat than other cheeses. And Cherney took out the fat without taking out the taste.
So with Cherney Light, less is more.
More or less.
In that case, give me less.
Less cheese?
Less fat. I'll take the Cherney Light.
New Cherney Light reduced fat cheeses. We're making more out of less.
You know it makes me wanna
Shout Power Stick lets you stick it to tough stains today.
throw my hands back and
Shout them out next wash day.
kick my feet on it.
Shout Power Stick keeps stains from setting in till you're ready to wash them out. In tests with spray and wash for overall preference, Shout 1, 2 to 1.
You know it makes me wanna shout. Come on now, shout.
Want tough stains out? Choose new Power Stick Shout.
This is a show about your neighbors, America's workers, stoned on the job. Be right back.
From the rocky coast of Maine to the shores of Cape Cod Bay, Belmont Springs water, tested every day. It's been trusted in New England for 100 years and more. Belmont Springs, natural and pure. It's pure New England. Belmont Springs. Pure New England, Belmont Springs.
Now, qualified new customers can take advantage of a special offer. 1 month free water cooler rental plus 3 free bottles of Belmont Springs, one each month for 3 months. To order, call 1-800-235-PURE. That's 1-800-235-PURE.
Belmont Springs, natural and pure. It's pure New England. Belmont Springs. Pure New England, Belmont Springs.
Belmont Springs water. At your store or delivered free to your door.
Hey, Eskimo pie now comes in sugar-free. Yeah, I'm already getting mail about it. Yes, sir. Does sugar-free taste as good as regular Eskimo pie? Absolutely. Rich, creamy, you'll love it. Trust me. What's the correct temperature to serve Eskimo pie? Well, most people just serve it right out of the freezer. Me, I serve it at room temperature.
Now try new sugar-free Eskimo pie crispy bars and sandwiches made with NutraSweet.
What if my daughter has an accident and I'm not there?
Billy's a diabetic. An emergency room doctor might not know that.
An emergency can happen anytime, but you can take steps to protect your child with Channel 5's Critic-Kid program. For a small price, you'll receive a microfiche tag with your child's medical history and who to call in case of emergency. Critic-Kid will be available soon. Watch Channel 5 for details.
Stoned on the job, our focus. Don, you were stoned on the job, right? General Motors also.
Excuse me?
General Motors?
Yes, sir.
Stoned on the job?
Every day. I've used heroin off and on for 24 years.
Oh, my God.
The last 6 years with General Motors was my worst. I remember using dope in the bathroom, going in the bathroom, shooting up in the bathroom, staying in there for an hour at a time, coming out, leaving my set of works on my desk, people picking them up. It was a real enabling situation for me, for myself.
Don't use those psycho words on people enabling or denial or all this stuff. You were using dope on the job, you're shooting up, leaving your works right on your desk.
Yeah.
Didn't anyone tell the boss on you?
Eventually, it was known, but it was kind of kept quiet for a while until it got really out of hand. Missing a lot of time from work, coming in late, bad attitude. You know, if I was sick, I didn't want to deal with people. You know, they used to tell me if I had just, if I did a bundle, I was nice, I could get along with everybody. But when I wasn't, you know, it was bad. I shipped parts to the dealers on the East Coast. It cost them a lot of money. Took a lot of rehabs. They put me in, I'm in my 7th rehab now.
Do you have any hope that this one will be different?
Yes, I do. What I feel is that I always had something to go back to. I felt, you know, I could go in, feel a little better. You know, things weren't so bad. I had my apartment, I had my car, I had my job. It was okay. The last time I was fired, I'm in arbitration right now for it, and within a month's time, I went from all that to a shelter in Brooklyn. From Long Island, middle-class family. I never had to steal. You know, I used the credit cards, the loans, the whole bit. And as far as drugs in the workforce, it's prevalent. You know, it's there. Some people are further in their progression. Some people have a lot of denial. You know, they have families. They don't want to let the people know that they have a problem because, you know, they've been working at a certain place for, you know, so many years. They don't want to leave their family, or they think they can do it themselves. It's just a matter of when you're ready. It took me to what happened to me to make me ready.
I have a couple of questions. General Motors, have they done anything? Or do they have an employee assistance program for drugs now?
I think they all
They have
all
one of the
do.
best ones in the country.
General Motors has a
Yes.
good one.
Yes.
And I have another question. It doesn't really have to do with drugs in the workforce, but I'm really curious as to why some people can drink and do cocaine and whatever and not get addicted, and other people are a mess. Is it a personality?
Dr. Denskiver?
I would say that some people are more susceptible. Certainly with alcohol, there is a metabolic difference, and there are people who are susceptible to blackouts, and they don't even know how much they drink. But with other drugs, it has to do with a lot of child abuse, how you were reared, how you feel about yourself, low self-esteem. It's really an American problem because the American society is falling apart. People don't feel good about themselves. Majority of Americans feel pretty bad. And now we're watching our country go from a leading nation to perhaps one of the lesser nations of the world.
I guess my question dovetails the doctor's statement there. Where does the responsibility lie? Is it in the government? Is it in the employers, you people that have had these problems? Do you think the employers should be taking care of you?
Dennis? Whose fault was it?
I'm going to tell you, the way I used to think, I tended to blame everyone else. But once I look at it, and the way I'm looking at it now, I think it's up to each individual to take responsibility for whatever, they get themselves into. I just strongly feel that a person's got to quit relying on everyone else to help them with their problems. I think a person's got to start within themselves to start helping themselves, and that's not depend so much on employee assistance and all that stuff. I mean, that's fine to have, granted, but I still believe that the person's got to come to terms with it's their problem, and they have to take responsibility to do something about it.
Deborah, I mentioned in the video piece at the top of this program that maybe tedium, boredom, had something to do with it. Is that possible? Did you start using all these drugs because the job you had was not mentally challenging to you? Is that...
That's true. When I was working, it was bored. But prior to my coming into the shop, I was drinking and using drugs because of my fear of people. Low self-esteem, wondering, what is they thinking about me? Am I saying the right things? My problem started before I got into General Motors.
Now, Jakia, in your case, is it, I don't know, maybe you're putting together cars that you can't afford yourself? Is that, I don't know, and I don't pretend to be any kind of psycho anything, but I'm just trying to grasp why someone would effectively destroy a pretty good job and situation because of the dope.
Well, at one particular point, boredom did set in because in my plant I've been bounced around all over the plant. I could do every job that's in the plant, from product handling to welding. And some of the times I would do it just to fit in, feel like you're an outcast or something, so you would fit in. It becomes more enjoyable.
The point is that the crack addict you see out on the street, the most visible drug users, sure, they're out there, but the vast majority, I'll bet you anything I have, the vast majority of the people using dope in this country are people just like this. Ordinary people. Ordinary people.
Correct.
Ordinary drug-using people. Stoned on the job. Be right back.
I work in STAR's advertising department. I supervise all the circulars, including the special ones we do. What makes them so special? How about prices like these?
Fresh ground beef, just 99 cents a pound when you buy 10 pounds or more. And 7-ounce Morton pot pies in 3 varieties, 4 for $1. Sale ends Saturday.
Think those are great prices? Then check out this week's special circular, my latest bestseller.
Stop, look and see what makes us shine.
No matter where you've been, there's nothing like the feeling of coming home. Unless you're the victim of a burglary. It's traumatizing to lose sentimental objects as well as your valuables. You feel violated, vulnerable. You've lost your peace of mind. That's why ADT, the leader in home security, developed SafeWatch, a unique security system that helps give you 24-hour protection. For a small monthly fee and a one-time installation charge, your home can be linked to an ADT alarm center. It's so easy to get the affordable security of SafeWatch. Isn't your peace of mind worth a simple phone call? Call this toll-free number today so that all your homecomings can be good ones.
ADT, we're home even when you're not.
ADT SafeWatch, only $19.95 per month. Call right now, 1-800-ADT-INFO. Major credit cards accepted.
If you've been seriously injured in an accident, the law limits the time you have to take legal action. Now, if you delay, you could lose your right to receive payment for your injuries. Call the Injury Helpline. Talk to an attorney near you for free, one who will explain your legal rights and costs. There are no attorney fees unless you receive payment for your injuries. Time may be running out. The insurance companies have attorneys working hard on their side, and so should you. Call 1-800-548-4144.
Going down the job.
Yes, I was going to ask Mary how her family felt about all this and if they're supporting her now.
Well, my family doesn't know. Only my husband.
She is incognito, in disguise, obviously. Has he been supportive? Or was he using?
No, he was not. I mean, he did 3 times maybe.
How'd you sell the stuff? I mean, did people come to your house?
Or I would deliver it.
Oh, great. When the kids were in school even?
Actually, this is about drugs in the workplace. I used to drop off my husband's shirts at the laundry with $200 or $300 in the pocket. And when I picked them up, there were a few grams of cocaine.
Weren't you worried about like when you were using drugs and the people in the workforce? Weren't you worried that some major catastrophe might happen because of you and others that's using drugs?
I never really thought about it. I mean, the only thing I ever thought about was being high. I mean, it did get to the point where I wasn't even getting high anymore. I could use as much drugs as I could possibly get my hands on. It wouldn't do anything.
My question is for Yakita and Deborah. I'm curious about the fact that while numbers are important to turn out, somebody has to be responsible for quality control.
Yes. How'd you get fired, Yakita?
Well, I was zapped from probation. I violated probation. And we are up against a court order now going back to work. And from rehabilitation. I'm in rehabilitation now.
So you're still on the job?
Yes, but we got a little dispute going now.
Mm-hmm. Deborah, what about the managers in charge of quality control?
I really didn't know that much about him. Now, as far as my foreman, you know, he would say different things to me like, Deborah, what are you doing? I say, doing my job, you know. And that's about as much as I knew about management.
Hi, my question was to like all of you, whichever one wants to answer it. How does it feel to go into the transition of living a normal life? You know, is it very difficult? Are you getting used to it or what, you know?
Yes.
It definitely takes getting used to all over again. It's like starting all over. You know, it's a lot of change and a lot of hard work to keep it that way.
Robert?
Feels good being reborn again, in some words. You know, it says this guy had been down in me for 20-some years, been wanting to come out, you know, and finally I gave him a chance to surface. You understand? It feels good. It's a good feeling.
Okay, I'd like to direct my question to the people from General Motors. To their knowledge, at this time, if General Motors have a random testing for drug use?
Yes, they do.
They have random testing on the job?
Well, after you've been fired so many times.
But
then they,
only for the people on probation?
No, it's like, well, you can say job probation is during that. If you have been late for work and missing a lot of time and you got into trouble on the job, they got this test they will give you. And if it shows up positive, you're automatically fired.
Ron Brown, you work in Flint, Michigan, right?
Right.
If they give me a guesstimate, if they gave a random test to all the assembly line workers in town, what do you think would come up?
At least 50%, and that's been conservative. At least 50.
How do you react to that?
I reacted in some ways you get almost rageful about it, that you want to do some things, but you keep in mind, I mean, it's difficult. You can't do too much too soon in terms of reacting to it. What we've done is try to begin to educate the community in terms of to what extent this problem exists and what it's going to take to cure it. You know, I mean, for years, Odyssey House have been talking about, in terms of dealing with drug abuse, there's no real quick fixes to it, that you have to deal with all of the underlying issues. A question a lady asked earlier, well, why do some people be introduced to drugs and they don't get addicted? Well, the people that don't get addicted are more, they had more of a healthy adjustment to life. We have an age group. I know the statistics. In Odyssey House, the average age of admission 10 years ago was 23, 24 years old. Today it's 30 to 35. Now there's a generation of people that haven't had a good adjustment to life. Now you have more drugs coming into the community, and when these people are introduced to them, naturally they, well, in most cases, they gravitate towards them as a coping mechanism to help them make life more fulfilling.
But then let me say this, Geraldo. The people that he's talking about were the ones who were in the 60s. They were teenagers in the 60s, and that's when the permissive society began. And I feel very strongly that Dennis is right, that his individual problem has to be solved by Dennis. But the problem of our society, which is what we're seeing, which is the main core of our society, the working class is addicted. You take a place like Flint, where they keep good statistics, of the 8,000 admissions for treatment that they had last year, 56% were working people. So that lots of them came through the courts, but those that came through the courts were also working. 56%.
The question I have is, we know that rich people can go to the Betty Ford Center. We know that the very, very poor can seek out a shelter. What does the average working stiff do in this country? Tell me in 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
This summer,
Fasten your seatbelt.
Touchstone Pictures
I'm on my way.
turns up the heat with 3 hot hits.
Anything you want, you got.
First, it's the summer's hottest blockbuster.
I got the gun!
Warren Beatty, Dick Tracy, rated PG.
I'm so glad you brought your gun.
Then it's the summer's funniest wedding.
I'm going to throw up all over the bridesmaids.
Betsy's Wedding, rated R. And it's Richard Gere and Julia Roberts in the year's #1 movie. Pretty Woman, rated R. Betsy's Wedding and Dick Tracy, each playing separately at theaters everywhere.
What a great idea. Jeffrey, we have to talk. Jeffrey? Jeffrey, we have to talk, please. Look, I don't say anything when you're out till all hours. I've not been complaining about those creeps that you hang out with, but when your school calls me and tells me that you have not been there for 2 weeks.
Your kid may be out of control, but you don't have to be.
For 24-hour help, call Brookside Hospital now at 800-866-9006.
When you're growing up, it's tough enough when emotions are stirred. And honesty, it's so hard to see when your vision is blurred. Well, I can see it in your eyes, and I can hear it in your cries. Don't you know it's so hard to get started when you don't have anything?
If you're a kid with troubles, you've got a friend at Boys Town. Whether you're a boy or a girl, Boys Town has a caring person just a phone call away who will really listen to your problems and help you solve them. If you're being abused, using drugs or alcohol,
running away, pregnant, or just need somebody to talk to, call Boys Town's hotline.
It's 1-800-448-3000. There's no charge, and you can call anytime.
You know, one point I think really has to be made in fairness. There is, I don't know, we have so many people from Michigan and from Flint. I don't want you to get the wrong idea that General Motors is any different than Ford or Chrysler or any other kind of job of that sort, for whatever reasons. And General Motors, in fact, as you know, one or two of the speakers has already said, has a damn good program. And as Dr. Densker said, ultimately the responsibility for people is to take care of their own business, take care of themselves. It's not General Motors' fault. All right, what's available? Here's working class people. The majority of this country real people who, you know, were raised maybe high school educated, or maybe even beyond. I mean, he's gone on, gotten a master's degree at Columbia. But what do? Where's their truth?
No, wait, Geraldo, I want to pull your covers because, you know, I'm a lawyer as well as a doctor. I know you're a lawyer. And it's interesting. We physicians have statutes, so we've got to monitor our peers. I have several lawyers who are heavily addicted using escrow funds, really widows and orphans escrow funds, and I've asked again and again the ABA what we're supposed to do, and they say there's nothing you can do, you've got confidentiality. But really, when it comes down to it, I think that the President's initiative called for the society to heal itself, and therefore we've got to take a look at our permissive attitudes, and we've got to become intolerant, literally intolerant, to allowing people to use drugs, to, say, be crane operators on the San Francisco bridge that just fell, or 5 out of the 10 people in the Metrolina North crash were under the influence. I mean, we've really got a problem on our roads, in the Department of Transportation. We've got problems all over. We've got to say we've had enough.
Well, let's put Mary's case aside, because she only had to deal with her husband. I guess sometimes that's the toughest of all. But in every other case, it sounded that instead of having people be intolerant of drug use, it was exactly the opposite. They were saying, I use, you use, we all use, let's have a party.
That's what they say. Right. And that's why what we've decided to do as part of our response to the President's call for a national initiative is to form a militia. Because we used to have taxation without representation when we first had a militia. Now we have taxation without rehabilitation for the working class. There's rehabilitation for the affluent, there's rehabilitation for the indigent. And we all like to think that it's the jet set or it's the people on the underbelly of our society, but it's not. It's the working class person that's in a great deal of difficulty, his or her wife, his or her children, and we really have to get out there. So we're starting on January 11th in the Constitution State, the President's birthplace, in Connecticut, a drive for a drug-free Connecticut. We hope that other states will follow. We have Utah in February. We have Michigan in April. We don't have anybody yet for March, so I hope that there are listeners who will write in or call us and say they want to be the third state. But unless the grassroots decides they've had enough, we're going to have the heavy metal music, we're going to have the drugs being sold in laundries, we're going to have our children and our regular average people without enough treatment and without enough concern. The other part that's extremely important is that while Michigan really centers on drugs in the workplace and General Motors does send them for treatment, most of the states have nothing for the working class, and at most they have 30 days only of rehab. Nobody gets better for 24 years of heroin on 30 days of treatment away from work.
Stoned in the workplace. We'll be right back. If you'd like to be a part of our studio audience, then write us at Geraldo Tickets, Post Office Box 684, New York, New York 10108. Or give us a call, the number 212-265-1283. We'll be right back.
Heard why I call my Polident the Big Clean? It fights stench or odor in a big way. You betcha, with a mini mouthwash ingredient. But Polident's bigger than that. It also does a big job on stains and ugly tartar. Trust the Big Mouth. Get Super Strength Polident, the Big Clean.
Kmart keeps you cool this summer with a Rubbermaid 48-quart cooler and refreeze bottle. The quality you need at the price you want. $16.96.
I had been through so many diets, and I was always hungry. So I said, all right, this is it. There's a drugstore right across the street from my apartment, and so I went over there, and the pharmacist recommended Dexatrim.
Pharmacists recommend Dexatrim more than any other weight loss product.
I mean, for me, Dexatrim is what helped me control my hunger and lose the weight. To me, it's just like a dream come true. Look at this.
Dexatrim, the weight loss product pharmacists recommend most.
I work in STAR's advertising department. I supervise all the circulars, including the special ones we do. What makes them so special? How about prices like these?
Fresh ground beef, just 99 cents a pound when you buy 10 pounds or more. And 7-ounce Morton pot pies in 3 varieties, 4 for $1. Sale ends Saturday.
Think those are great prices? Then check out this week's special circular, my latest bestseller.
Star Market, see what makes us shine.
Homeowners, have you ever wanted to replace those old, worn-out single-pane windows but felt you couldn't afford it? You can now because Badala Vinyl is making an incredible special offer on insulated replacement windows. No money down, 100% bank financing, and Badala Vinyl will make your monthly payments for 1 full year. That's right, you can have these maintenance-free windows installed in your home at no cost for 1 full year.
Imagine easy cleaning, low-maintenance, triple-pane windows that will save you money on energy bills, now with affordable monthly payments. And Badala will make those payments for you for 1 full year.
Call 1-800-365-0122 for more information. There's no obligation and operators are standing by. So call 1-800-365-0122.
Call for information on these money-saving, energy-efficient windows, and remember, there's no money down, and Badala Vinyl will make your payments for 1 full year. Call 1-800-365-0122.
Now's the time to enjoy the warmth and beauty of the shining star of the Caribbean, Puerto Rico. Soak up the sun by day, celebrate San Juan at night. Crimson Travel makes it easy for you with affordable Puerto Rico vacations. Stay 3 to 7 nights, including non-stop American Airlines jet and your choice of hotel. Longer stays available too. Call Crimson Travel now and be on your way to Puerto Rico, the shining star of the Caribbean. Crimson Travel, a Thomas Cook company.
Down on the job.
Yes, my question is direct to Mrs. Marianne. While you was working on a job, why did you seek spiritual help? And you knew that by you having the drug problem that it might hurt your family, you might lose your job. Why did you seek spiritual help from a church or maybe like an organization, or to let somebody really know that who can help you with your problem?
Is that for Deborah?
No, yes, Mrs. Deborah. I'm sorry.
You say, why
don't you go to, a religious person to get, kind of spiritual guidance?
Why didn't I seek a religious person?
Yes.
I grew up in a religious home.
But when you had the problem with drugs, why not go there for help?
Because I was all right with what I was doing. As far as getting high, it was the only way that I knew how to cope with problems.
So the last thing you're going to do is go to your minister and say, I've got this problem, help.
Correct. If anything, I would, wouldn't even admit that I was getting high.
Hi, my name is Henry. The question is, if I buy a car from General Motors and suppose a defect happens where I lose my life or someone loses their life, the company is responsible for things that you have done. Is that correct?
Julianne?
I would say that since it's all pervasive in all industries, and as you pointed out before, that's why a lot of people are buying cars made in other countries. We shouldn't pick particularly on General Motors. We've got crane operators, we've got people, conductors of...
Has that been proven that the crane operators on the bridge were stoned?
The one in San Francisco, it's alleged. And one thing that we do know is that the whole ecology of this planet, Geraldo, was changed by one drink too many at Prince William Island called Valdez. So that one drink too many really set this whole world in a different direction.
That's the Exxon tanker.
That's the Exxon tanker. Right. And we're still going to suffer from that, and it wasn't even cleaned up. And what I'm saying again and again is that unless the average working class American understands that it's his or her problem, his or her life, his or her child's life, or even his or her parents' life, because a lot of aged people and retired people are using drugs, and unless we form a militia against drug use and against the tolerance of drug use, this nation's not going to make it, Geraldo.
The automobile workers are very heavily unionized. I was wondering to what extent the union will either defend a worker who has been accused of drug use or will help a worker who is found to actually have used the drugs.
What about the union? Jakia or Don?
UAW and General Motors have came together, and they're saying that if this person is agreed enough to go into a rehabilitation center, and the two are pulling together now to support this person. Don't just leave this person out there in the streets, Don't put him out of his job. He's not
crazy. Is the union too protective, though? Does the union stick up for you guys so much that the company can't take disciplinary action against you?
I don't think the union sticks out as so much where the company can't take position.
But I think, Geraldo, another thing that we Americans have to understand, that we have to look at this as another prevention. We need people to remain tax contributors, not tax consumers. So if we can treat them in the workplace and we can keep them working, we don't have to take them out of the workplace, then we don't have to spend the money. I don't think America can spend the money to treat everybody on addicts at this moment. As you said, we've got a $60 billion work loss. What it would cost to treat 50 to 60% of the workforce by not having them work for a period of time will be impossible. We've got to start triage medicine, which is you go to the healthiest first, the person who's still mainstreamed, the person who still can work. You detox them in 3 days, and then you treat them for 18 months, outpatient. That's the way we've got to go. They pay their taxes, they do their job, they're monitored, and there's concern.
Well,
I'd like to make a note, too.
We got to take a break, and then you can make it. All right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Susan Warnick. Coming up in just about an hour from now on News Center 5 at midday, Steve Sprazier will have a live report from Beacon Hill, where again today, budget debate is the main attraction. Apparently, the big sticking point between the House and Senate members at this point is expansion of the sales tax. Steve will have all the details at noon. And today on Midday Call-In, pediatrician Dr. John Cohen will answer your questions about your children and their health care, and we'll open the phone lines in about an hour. Please stay tuned to Channel 5 for News Center 5 at midday.
You may not have a million reasons to call the money tree, but you only need one. When you absolutely, positively need a loan and need it fast, call the money tree first at 1-800-543-3133.
Never an application fee, and past credit is never a problem. So homeowners, call the money tree at 1-800-543-3133.
The Money Tree. We're your $1 million lender, 24 hours a day, every day.
You know, if you were a fish, Riverside's all-new Wild River Falls would be just another day at the rapids. But you're not a fish, are you? Okay, are you a chicken? Wild River Falls at Riverside Park. There's nothing else like it in New England.
Say hello to City Game and say hello to big prizes. Starting July 8th, you can play Channel 5's exciting new phone quiz City Game. Play and win t-shirts, TVs, CDs, PCRs. You'll even have a chance to say aloha with our grand prize trip to Hawaii. To win, all you do is call and tackle the trivia teasers about New England. Just keep watching Channel 5 for details and get ready to dial for fun. Dial for prizes. Dial City Game. July 8th.
Dennis, I want you to look in the camera and talk to other fellow American workers, red-blooded Americans just like you, and tell them to get some help.
Please get some help. If you have a problem with substance abuse, seek out some help and get some help. That's all, you know, that's the most important thing is admitting you got a problem and doing something about it.
Deborah?
I like to say the same thing. Seek help. You know, I don't have anything against short term, but if you've been messing around with drugs many years, you need long term.
Robert?
I agree with my friend Cher. You know, you got a problem. If you don't want to even admit you got a problem, hey, it's there. You can tell when you have a problem. You may not spit it out your mouth, but get help. It's out there for you, you know.
Sure.
I have to agree. The main part is admitting you have a problem before it gets too late.
Get some help in Connecticut and in Utah. Join the militia. You'll be hearing a lot more about it. I want to thank you all for your courage and for the fact that you have turned your lives around and for being here too. Thank you folks also for being in the studio. We'll see you. Folks at home, we'll see you next time.
Dustin Hoffman, Robert Goulet, Vidal Sassoon, Joe Montana, Mark Gaston. Meet the ex-sweethearts of these superstars. Join us Monday when we dig into their devastating divorces. Ex-wife styles of the rich and famous. Monday.